Hi. Before we get to the content of this video, I just want to give a small insight on why some things on the channel have changed. I mainly want to talk about more games. That's it really. Despite what it may seem, I do play games besides SpellForce. There's my crippling League of Legends addiction for one, but I don't want to make videos on that, god forbid, it's boring, drains my life and energy and leaves me hopeless every time I finish playing. But in the words of one of the greats,
it sucks playing the shit! And I'm fucking addicted! So I can't quit!
So what I'll try to do instead is play some other games, mainly single player, and make something like a review on them, except it won't be a good review, it'll be my review. Now, I do understand that most of you are here for SpellForce content, and that won't go away, but I'll probably just do videos on the stuff I feel like doing when I feel like doing it, and as these are a bit more edited, it'll take more time. With that out of the way, let me, an experienced, seasoned veteran, show you, a hopeful amateur, how to successfully play SpellForce.
Sponge, my boy, go out and buy yourself a
Copy of SpellForce 1.
Mr. Krabs, but where can I buy?
Copy of SpellForce 1.
How nice of you to ask. You are looking at a few options. First up, good old games. A good store for good old games, and it has a stable version. But it's not Steam. And Steam is that one platform where you probably have all your other games. Besides that, it also lacks some updates and a lot of the language settings that Steam offers, but we'll get to that in a moment. One saving grace for GOG is that it gives you some behind the scenes content and some artwork if you're into that. An overall, solid choice, if you like buying GOG. Second choice, retail. You could go the old school route and buy the game on a physical disc, but if you're anything like me, your PC might not have an optical drive and you've been putting off buying an external one for years, so that's useless. Buy if you're a collector. Your last choice, Steam. Objectively, probably the best one. Gets updates, has lots of languages, goes on sale often. I personally recommend getting it there. Now, when you have your game, presumably on Steam, you're faced with another choice, version 1.54 or 1.61. It really only comes down to one thing: do you want to play with mods or not? If you do, play on 154, if you don't, 161, since it was updated recently. I personally recommend 1.61, though I am sadly not your mother, so just pick whichever number you like more. With that done, we still aren't ready to play. See, while you could play the game in any language you prefer, it's scientifically proven that playing it in German is the best choice, and with the recent news of Germany heavily investing into the Bundeswehr, you never know when it might come in handy. It teaches you useful phrases like "Macht sie nieder" or "Sie sind in der Stadt." Well, playing in Russian sort of offers the same perks, but it frankly doesn't sound as cool to me. You might say, well, isn't the best language the one I prefer playing in? And that's a good argument, however... At the very least, change the voices to German. I made a video on that too. And finally, the game resolution. Chances are this game came out before you were born, and if so, you are used to playing on 16:9 ratioed monitors, but this game wasn't made for that, so instead, what you'll need to do when you enter the game is change the resolution to any 4:3 option. The lower you go, the more it feels like this game was part of your childhood. This is not negotiable. And while you're in the settings menu, change the difficulty to hard. The game isn't really hard in the first place, but at least this way you'll face more enemies, meaning more XP, and you'll get to live your power fantasy a bit quicker, which at the end of the day is why you're playing this game. Speaking of, time to make your character. Now, while there are a fuck ton of options here, all of which are valid, my recommendation for your first one is a heavy warrior with white magic. It's easy, it's strong, it's fun, and it gets the job done. There's also some predefined characters that level up your skills on their own, but unless you're over 40 or this is the first time you're seeing a PC, I'd stay away from it as it significantly lowers the points you receive playing this game. Coolness points, that is. When it comes to leveling, there's one thing you need to remember. Each skill needs 2 attributes to level it up. So put your attribute points into them, or else you'll end up like me on my first one, where I had a character that only had basic knowledge of many things but wasn't particularly good at anything. Now this works great if you want to be unemployed, active on Twitter or be a moderator on Reddit, but it's not so good for playing the game. Congrats, you now have your hero. It's time to go over the basics of the gameplay. You will spend most of the game creating an army using rune monuments. These use runes which you can either find, buy or get as a reward from someone. Bad runes equal bad time, and so make sure you always check every single corner of some of these absurdly large maps for the optimal ones. Once you're at a monument, you'll want to activate it and immediately start spamming workers in your queue. In general, this game is very generous with giving you time to build up your base. Except the many times where it isn't, so learn to do it quickly sooner to avoid complaining about how hard the game is on a forum later. Now, take the slaves you just summoned, and yes, the technical term is rune slave, and send them to gather your basic resources. Those will change from race to race, but a general rule of thumb you can follow is that elves and orcs need wood, dwarves and dark elves need stone, humans, just like in real life, lay claim on a bit of everything, and trolls need the validation and love of their parents. As soon as you can, build a building for each of the basic resources. This turns your slaves blunt and thus immediately more effective. It's now time for some muscle. Most early units in this game aren't that good, and if your avatar is strong, you might not even need them. However, I firmly believe that you should get at least 10 of them early, because you'll need it on some maps. Not like you have a choice at the start anyway, as those are the only units you will have. After that, it's rinse and repeat. Get resources, recruit army, kill enemy. You should build something for food, upgrades, storage and defensive buildings, all of which are vital to your success somewhere in there, but I'm sure you'll figure that one out. If you ever feel overwhelmed though, just remember the basics of math. Make as many towers. These tips are applicable to every race you play as the underlying principles are the same. They do have their own perks though, which I'm sure you aren't aware because you didn't read the manual for the game like any normal person, so here they are. Humans are stronger during the day. Elves are stronger in a forest. Dwarves level up their units with kills. Dark elves trolls get angry, and orcs run away. Wait, that can't be. Did we double check this? Yeah, you sure? Okay, well, it does seem that orcs just run away. Sag. They do have some cool instruments to make up for it though. Apart from all of this, make sure to do every side quest as soon as you can for some juicy XP. Loot everything you can find and make sure to carefully pay attention to the dialogues in the game, lest you should, well, I don't know, decide to write a story based on SpellForce and fuck it up. With this guide, you are now about as good as any veteran SpellForce player, so go ahead and enjoy the game. If anything else is unclear, refer to the actual tutorial in the game that explains everything that I did, just a lot better. I taught you everything I know. Thanks for watching, and go play the game. Bye bye.